शान्ताकारं भुजगशयनं पद्मनाभं सुरेशं विश्वाधारं गगनसदृशं मेघवर्णं शुभाङ्गं लक्ष्मीकान्तं कमलनयनं योगिहृद्यानगम्यं वन्दे विष्णुं भवभयहरं सर्वलोकैकनाथम्। ॐ लक्ष्मीं क्षीरसमुद्रराजतनयां श्रीरङ्गधामेश्वरीं दासीदेव समस्तलोकवनितां लोकैकदीपाङ्कुरां श्रीमन्मन्दकटाक्षलब्धविभवां ब्रह्मेन्द्रगङ्गाधरां त्वां त्रैलोक्यकुटुम्बिनीं सरसिजां वन्दे मुकुन्दप्रियाम्। ॐ श्रीलक्ष्मीनारायणाभ्यां नमः ध्यायामि। अथ आवाहनम्. Placing the left hand on the heart, we'll touch the feet of Bhagavan here in front, and we ask them to come, be present, and accept our puja. Om agaccha deva devesha tejo rashi jagatpate क्रियमाणं मया पूजां गृहाण सुरसत्तमम्। ॐ श्रीलक्ष्मी नारायणाभ्यां नमः आवाहयामि प्रतिष्ठापयामि पूजयामि। अथ आसनम्. We can sit back. We'll take some flowers, and just as we would offer someone that we love who's come to our home a comfortable seat, we do the same for Bhagavan in puja. And so within our own heart we can offer a beautiful, comfortable, cushioned sofa represented externally by the flower petals that we offer. Atha asanam. Asanam grihyatamisha nirmalam swarna nirmitam adharam sarva jagatam Shri Parameshwara namostute. Om Shri Lakshmi Narayanaabhyam Namaha. आसनार्थे पुष्पं समर्पयामि. We'll offer the flowers to Bhagavan. Atha padyam. We'll hold a spoon. And with each mantra we'll offer water to Bhagavan. So first we offer him water to wash his feet with. So we'll offer the water at his feet. You can hold together and offer. Om Shri Lakshmi Narayanaabhyam Namaha Padayoho Padyam Samarpayami. We'll offer to both of them. So we'll take another spoon and offer at Mother Lakshmi's feet too. One more spoon for them to wash their hands with. Atha Argyam. Om Shri Lakshmi Narayanaabhyam Namaha Hastayoho Argyam Samarpayami. This time we'll take water and touch it to their mouth, so we're offering them water to drink. Om Shri Lakshmi Narayanaabhyam Namaha Mukhe Achamaniyam Samarpayami. You can let it fall into the plate. Atha Abhishekam. We'll now do the Abhishekam with the Panchamrit first, and then afterwards we'll wash them with the water in this plate here. We continue. And we can all chant together. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. 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 Vasudevaya. Om Shri Lakshmi Narayanabhyam Namaha. Abhishinchayami Udvartayami Vastram Samarpayami Athalandham. So having bathed and dressed Bhagwan, we then offer the chandan first and then the kumkum. So with the ring finger we'll take some of the sandalwood and offer to Bhagwan's forehead. So you can also take some and offer. Om Shri Lakshmi Narayanabhyam Namaha. Divyagandhan Dharayami. Then we'll take some of the kumkum as well. Kumkum you can also offer. Om Shri Lakshmi Narayanabhyam Namaha. Gandhasyopari Haridra Kumkumam Samarpayami. Atha Akshata. So with the two middle fingers and the thumb, we'll take a little bit of rice and we offer that to Bhagavan as well. You also take. Like this. We'll take with these. Like this. So we touch it to our heart and we offer it to Bhagavan with love. Om Shri Lakshmi Narayana Bhyam Namaha. Akshatan Samarpayami. Atha Pushpam, we'll take some flowers and we offer this to Bhagavan as well. Om Shri Lakshmi Narayana Bhyam Namaha. Pushpaihi Pujayami. And offer it to Bhagavan and place it on the plate. Careful. Dhupam. We'll offer the agarbatti, so you both can hold this and offer together. ॐ वनस्पतिरसोद्भूतो गन्धाढ्यो गन्धोत्तमः आघ्रेयः सर्वदेवानां धूपोऽयं प्रतिगृह्यताम् ॐ श्रीलक्ष्मीनारायणाभ्यां नमः धूपम् आघ्रापयामि अथ दीपः. We then offer the lamp. So the lamp we simply show to Bhagavan, so you can raise it from his feet and hold it up at his eye level. So slowly raising it so he sees it. Om Shri Lakshmi Narayana Namaha Deepam Sandarshayami. Atha Naivedyam. So we'll take some flower petals in our hand, we'll dip it in the water and we sprinkle it on the food that we have prepared for Bhagwan. So I'll just open everything so that it can be offered. Om Bhurvavasvah Satyam Varadena Parishinchami. And on everything else that we have prepared for prasad as well. And we'll take some flower petals that we have and put a little bit on each plate. Especially this one. So we guide the smell of the food to Bhagwan as our way of offering it to him. And with each mantra we make our offerings. And so we'll do this together. We bring the thumb from the base of the finger to the tip as we offer the food to Bhagwan. Om Pranaya Swaha, Om Apanaya Swaha, Om Vyanaya Swaha, Om Udanaya Swaha. Now from the thumb. Om Samanaya Swaha. Om Brahmani Swaha. Om Shri Lakshmi Narayana Bhyam Namaha Naivedyam Nivedayami. Atha Mangala Nirajanam. So we'll offer a short arti first. For this, just the three of you can stand and offer. Everybody else can stay seated. We'll stand first. Om Natatra Suryo Bhati Na Chandra Tarakam Nema Vidyuto Bhanti Kuto Yamagni Tameva Bhantamanubhati Sarvam Tasya Bhasa Sarvamidam Vibhati. Om Shri Lakshmi Narayana Bhyam Namaha Mangala Nirajanam Samarpayami. As a Pradakshina Namaskara. So the Pradakshina, we usually go around Bhagwan, but those of you that are seated will take our hands, join them above our head, and go around clockwise 3 times as the mantra is chanted. For the 4 of us standing, we can turn on the spot clockwise 3 times with the prayer that with each step that I take, may I come closer to you and any negativities be removed that are keeping me away. Om yani kani cha papani janmantara cha tani vinashyanti pradakshina pade pade. Om Shri Lakshmi Narayana Bhyam Namaha Pradakshina Namaskaran Samarpayami. Yes, we'll do Namaskar first, we'll bow down and then we can be seated. And so, we first ask for forgiveness for any mistakes that we may have made during the puja part, and then we listen to the glory of this puja. And the katha itself tells us why we do this puja, what the benefit is, and also how it's pleasing to Bhagavan. Om mantrahinam kriyahinam bhaktihinam janardana yatkritam tumaya deva paripurnam tadastu me. Om Shri Lakshmi Narayana Bhyam Namaha Kshamasva Kshamasva. We offer the flowers to Bhagavan. अथ श्री सत्यनारायण कथा पारायणं करिष्यामि. ओम श्री गणेशाय नमः. ओम श्री सरस्वत्यै नमः. ओम श्री चिन्मय सद्गुरवे नमः. बोलिए श्री सत्यनारायण भगवान की जय. So, once upon a time, 88,000 saints led by Rishi Shaunaka were in Naimisharanya, which is a holy pilgrimage place in India, and they were doing a yajna for the benefit of mankind. During this yajna, Suta Maharishi is a visitor, and when he arrives, Shaunaka, with all of his fellow Brahmanas and Rishis, welcome him, they seat him, and as a way of honoring him, they do their regular puja, and they give him a comfortable seat of honor, and they ask him very humbly, "O Maharaj, please tell us what is the simplest and the easiest way in Kali Yuga to purify the mind and achieve moksha?" And so Suji Maharaj says, once Naradji has asked the same question to Lord Narayana. And so I'll tell you what Bhagavan himself has said. So then we go from Naimisharanya to Vaikuntha, where Naradji has gone around the whole of Mrityuloka, the whole of earth, and he sees that there's so much suffering, there's so much pain, and we human beings are not doing so great. So he reaches Vaikuntha, and the sight of our suffering touches his heart so much that he asks Bhagavan, everybody is suffering. What can they do so that they don't suffer? Everybody is blinded by Maya, everybody has an attachment, everybody has some kind of greed. So how can they come out of this cycle of birth and death? How can they come out of this cycle of samsara? Bhagavan Satyanarayana, Lord Vishnu, he tells Naradji that I'll give you a very simple way, and that is this Satyanarayan Puja. And so the beautiful part is that in the Sanskrit shlokas, Bhagavan says, at any point in time, whoever does this katha will gain my grace, will benefit. And so he says that Bhagavan himself gives the detail that anybody with whatever means they have preparing a little bit of prasad. And this churi prasad is also specifically mentioned, the wheat and the sugar or the jaggery. Anybody that comes and does this katha with faith and devotion will be free of all sorrows in this world and will achieve my abode when they leave this world. And so, this katha itself consists of the names of those devotees who remembered Bhagavan, who did this puja, even for a moment in their life. They received his grace, and how they came together, did this katha, sang the glory of Bhagavan, and experienced his blessings. So in this way, the first chapter of the Satyanarayan Katha, which is found in the Skanda Puran, concludes. So as we do, we shall sing the name of the Lord and enjoy his grace. Shriman Narayana 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 Shriman Narayana 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 Om Narayana 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 Om Narayana 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 Lakshmi Narayana 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 Boliye Satyanarayan Bhagwan ki Jai. So, where are we now? We're in Vaikunt, correct. So from Vaikunt we come back to Naimisharanya, where Sutaji Maharaj has been explaining this katha and how he received this katha. So he says, once there was a Brahmana who lived in Sundar Kashipur. And he used to live by begging. He used to live a very simple life, but he found it very difficult to make ends meet. Bhagavan, who loves his devotees, who loves the simple sadhus, he, taking compassion on this Brahmana, comes in the form of a Brahmana and guides him and says, if you do this Satyanarayan Puja, then you won't be living such a hard life. You will be able to live comfortably. You won't be deprived in this world, essentially. And so saying this, the Lord then goes on his merry way. Lord in the form of a Brahmana. The next day, that day itself, the Brahmana takes a vow. He says that whatever I get from begging the next day, whatever I get in Bhiksha, I will use to do the Katha. And so, the next day itself, he goes out on Bhiksha, and usually he gets very little. But this time he gets a lot. For somebody to go and suddenly receive so much, it's only Bhagavan's blessings. So he gains enough Bhiksha to do this Katha, and true to his word, he sits, does the Katha with his family, they sing the glory of the Lord, and they benefit from it. So this Brahmana then experiences the blessings of the Lord in the form of good home, enough wealth, stability. So he experiences all of these blessings. And so then this Brahmana's story finishes, but the saints say, but who else? Tell us some more. And so the other saints said, what happened after that? And so Suji Maharaj says that once there was a woodcutter who came to the Brahmana's house while he was doing this puja. And so he sits for the puja and he thinks, oh, this Brahmana has experienced the grace of the Lord. And he asks the Brahmana, how do I do this puja? So the Brahmana then explains how to do the puja. He tells him his own experience. And the woodcutter then decides in his mind that tomorrow, whatever I get from cutting the wood, if I get any extra money, I will use that and do the katha. I will do this puja. And so the woodcutter next day goes, does his wood cutting, brings fuel back, and he gets 4 times the amount that he would normally get for his wood. So true to his word, he also decides, I will do the katha now. So he sits, he does the katha, and just as the Brahmana experienced, he also achieves prosperity in this life and continues to do the katha thereafter as a form of gratitude to Bhagavan. So this Brahmana and woodcutter both have experienced Bhagavan's blessings because they've done the puja. But an interesting thing to note is that they started experiencing Bhagwan's blessings before they even did the puja. They just decided. And they did it with firm conviction that whatever I get, I will use to do this katha. And so just that sankalpa, that pure intention, that firm conviction that I will do this, meant Bhagwan was already assisting them in achieving that. So that's why that Satya in Satyanarayan is so, if we think about it in the katha, we see it. That being true to our word means that we automatically tap into or receive Bhagwan's blessings and his guidance. And so in this way, we have the Brahmana and we have the woodcutter. So with this, the second adhyaya of the Satyanarayan Vrat Katha, which comes from the Skanda Puran, concludes. So we sing the glories of Bhagwan again. Shriman Narayana 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 Lakshmi Narayana 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 Om Narayana 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 Om Narayana 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 Shriman Narayana Narayana Narayana. What Shri Satyanarayan Bhagavan ki jai. So, much like the sadhus of Naimisharanya, we are also very excited to know, okay, who else benefited from this katha? Tell me more. And so this Suji Maharaj explains that once there was a king named Ulkamukha. So this king Ulkamukha, he was a very spiritual person. So in his kingdom, he used to do the Satyanarayan Katha Vrat regularly. And so he used to support the Brahmanas, he used to take care of the poor. He was all in all a very dharmic king, a very good king. And so his kingdom was on the banks of the Bhadrashila river. So on this Bhadrashila river's banks, he and his wife were doing the Satyanarayan Puja with the intention that we should have a son, so that the kingdom will have an heir. And while they were doing this katha, on the river there was a boat. And on this boat was a merchant. And interestingly, this merchant's name is Sadhu. So this Sadhu, I'm sure all of you have heard this katha in Hindi or Sindhi. So you know this Sadhu Vesh is a very notorious character. That we think his name is Sadhu, but he's a businessman. But he saw this katha being done. So when he got off the boat, he went up to the king and he said, "Oh Rajan, what are you doing? This looks very interesting. Why are you doing it?" And so the king said, "I don't have a child. Therefore, I am doing this katha for the grace of Bhagwan so that I may have a child." And so this sadhu businessman, Sadhu Vaishya, thinks, "Oh, very good. I will also do this katha. I will also do this puja if I am blessed with a child." So he goes back home and he tells his wife, okay, who's his wife's name?
Kalavati.
Aunties, I know you know this. Leelavati, very good. I heard someone say that. So Leelavati is Sadhu's wife. And so he goes and tells her, we will do this katha if we are blessed with a child. And she thinks this is a very good idea. We will do this katha. And they have a child. Now they have this daughter whom they name Kalavati. Very good. Leelavati and Kalavati. So now Kalavati is born, and it's so poetic. I heard this in Sindhi. Actually, I don't know it in Sindhi. I barely know it in Hindi. But the description is that, like how the moon has different colors, the moon is known to have 16 colors, which is why it has the waxing and waning phase. So just as how quickly the moon waxes and how quickly the moon wanes, she also grew. Shukla Paksha Ji Chandrama Sa, she grew up very quickly. Yeah, exactly. So Kalavati is now grown up. She's ready to be married. And Leelavati has consistently reminded her husband, we have to do the puja. We have to do the puja. And he says, yeah. We'll do it when she gets married. And so Kalavati then gets married. So she gets married to one merchant who is from the city of Kanchannagar. So it's interesting, this sadhu businessman has relations in Kanchannagar, which literally translates to city of gold, city of wealth. So he seems to have a very good planning capacity. But he still can't plan for this katha. Strange. And so Kalavati reaches the age of marriage, they get married, and the merchant and his son-in-law, they work together in business. One day, as they take their boat and they go to different lands, they do their business, they reach Ratanpur. The king of that area, Raja Chandraketu, has incidentally had a robbery in his palace. So the thieves are running away with the jewels, with whatever they've stolen, and they reach the rest house where Sadhu and his son-in-law are resting. And so the drama begins. In fear, they leave everything in the room where Sadhu and his son-in-law are staying. And they run away. Now the king's bodyguards are running after them, so they see they've run into this dharamshala and they can't figure out where they've gone. So they go in, they search, and they find all of the stolen jewels are with Sadhu and his son-in-law. And so immediately they think these two have stolen the jewels, so they arrest them and throw them in jail. So now Sadhu is thinking, what has happened? How have I ended up in jail? I haven't even stolen anything. Word then reaches their home village, and Leelavati and Kalavati hear that their husbands are in jail. At the same time, at home, Leelavati and Kalavati have had their house broken into and they've lost everything. So thieves have ruined their life at home, thieves have ruined their lives in this Ratanpur also. And so they are poverty stricken and they have to resort to begging to make ends meet. So while going around asking for food, Kalavati reaches home late. And when Leelavati asks her, why are you late? What happened? Because there was no phone, she couldn't call her and be like, why are you late? And she couldn't inform that she was actually at another Brahmana's house who was doing the Satyanarayan Puja. So she sat for the puja and she brought prasad home. And so this reminds Leelavati that, oh, we were supposed to do the puja and we never did. And so then she decides, okay, now come what may, whatever we get from the community, we will use and we will do this Satyanarayana Puja. And so Leelavati's sankalpa leads to Bhagwan coming into the dream of Raja Chandraketu and saying, these two men are innocent, release them, or I will take away everything in your kingdom. So Raja Chandraketu wakes up and he immediately calls for his guards and he says, release these two prisoners, they are free. And so, by the grace of Bhagwan, these two men are released. And at home, Leelavati and Kalavati have done this puja. And so gradually things start to look up. And then the third chapter of the Katha finishes. And so we remember Bhagwan and we sing his glories before we move into the fourth chapter. Shriman Narayana 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 Shriman Narayana 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 Om Narayana 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 Lakshmi Narayana 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 Bol Satyanarayan Bhagwan Ki Jai. And so Sadhu and his son-in-law have been released and the king feels really bad. So he gives them double the amount of their possessions and gold and says, please carry on, you are released with full honor. And so Sadhu and his son-in-law are thinking, wow, okay, not a bad deal. Had to spend a few days in jail, but we got double our possessions. So they think, let's just go home. So they load everything into the boat, and just as they're about to leave, Bhagwan comes. Bhagwan being Leeladhar, he likes to check in on his devotees. So he comes in the form of a sadhu and he innocently asks, Bhagwan takes the form of a sannyasi so that we're not confused between sadhu the businessman and sadhu. Bhagwan takes the form of a sannyasi and he approaches Sadhu, the businessman, and he asks him, "What do you have in your boat? There seems to be so much going on." Sadhu says, "Oh, there's nothing. It's just all hay and, fodder for animals that we're transporting." He doesn't speak the truth. And so Bhagwan smiles and he says, "Tathastu." So be it. And so as they're about to board the boat, Sadhu notices that the boat is much lighter. Because you can see when something's heavy, the boat will sink. But suddenly, even after the loading has happened, the boat is light. So he thinks something's not right. So when he goes and he checks, all that gold, all the things that the Raja has sent for him have turned into hay and fodder. And so he completely just loses his mind and he faints. So the son-in-law has a little bit of presence of mind. He wakes his father-in-law up and says, "I think this has happened because you lied to that sannyasi. Let's go and ask for his forgiveness." So they go up to the sannyasi who's still on the banks of the river sitting in dhyan. They bow down at his feet and Sadhu is so remorseful and he says, "Please tell me what to do. Forgive me. Please give me back my possessions. Don't do this to me." And so Bhagwan is so kind. But when we don't acknowledge that kindness or we don't see that kindness, then Bhagwan simply does these little leelas to allow us to reflect. And so Sadhu immediately realizes his mistake and he asks for forgiveness. And the sannyasi says, "So be it." Everything goes back to normal. They are overjoyed. They bow down at his feet again. They board their boat and they go back home. And so they go back home, and as soon as they dock, they send word to their home that we've arrived. And so at this point in time, Leelavati and Kalavati are doing the Satyanarayan Puja. So they have also been doing this puja regularly, offering their gratitude to Bhagwan. So they're sitting and they're doing the katha, and the messenger comes and says, "Your husbands have arrived." And so Leelavati says, "Okay, let me go first. Kalavati, you finish the katha, have the prasad, and then come and welcome your husband." So she says, okay. So Leelavati goes to welcome her husband and her son-in-law, and Kalavati completes the katha, but she forgets the prasad. And she goes in her excitement to meet her husband. When she reaches the river bank where the boat has docked, she sees the father with her mother, and her husband is on the boat, and she sees that the boat with her husband sinks. And so Kalavati sees her husband drown, and she also faints. And so then Sadhu is thinking, what is happening? So he looks at Bhagwan, he looks up to the heavens and he says, "Oh Bhagwan, why has this happened? What went wrong?" And so in true dramatic fashion, Bhagwan sends Akashvani. And he says, "Your daughter has forgotten my prasad. Tell her to go home, have the prasad, and come back. Leave the rest to me." So they wake Kalavati up and like, "Don't worry, go home, have the prasad, and then come back." She does so, and when she comes back to the riverbank, who does she see? Her husband. And so she's very happy that her husband has come back, and she welcomes him home. These small things Bhagwan does just to, actually it's all grace only, to remind us that what he gives us is prasad. And so even the food that we offer to Bhagwan is so sacred. So we should value the prasad that we gain from puja. We should value the prasad that he gives us in our life. It may not be what we ask for, but it is what he knows best. What he knows is best for us. And so with this, Sadhu's katha finishes, but the Satyanarayan katha is not yet over. With this, the 4th chapter ends, and we sing the glories of Bhagwan. Shriman Narayan 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 Shriman Narayan 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 Lakshmi Narayan 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 Om Narayan Narayan Narayan. Bol Shri Satyanarayan Bhagavan ki Jai. So Ji Maharaj, remember, don't forget where we are. We are in Naimisharanya, and we are with Shaunaka and the 88,000 saints who have asked Ji Maharaj what is the easiest way to come out of the sufferings of Kali Yuga. So Ji Maharaj says Satyanarayan Puja, and he gives them one more story as well. And he says that there was once a king named Tungadhwaj. So this Tungadhwaj, he declined the prasad given in the forest. So in the forest, the tribals were doing the puja, and when he came across them, he declined the prasad. So he said, no thank you. And he went on his merry way back to his kingdom. When he reaches the kingdom, he sees that all of his sons are dead. Or they at least appear dead. And so he can't understand what has happened in his absence. And he realizes that his ego of being a king led him to decline prasad. And so he goes back. He asks those people, please do the puja again. They do the puja again, and they give him prasad, which he then accepts. He takes back home, and he touches it to the mouths of his sons. And they wake up, as though they were simply sleeping very, very deeply. And so in some versions of the Katha, he accepts the prasad there and then itself, and back in the kingdom, everything is fine. But this again is given to us to teach us that Bhagwan's grace stays in the form of this physical prasad that we get. And so when we receive it, we should treat it with that honor and respect that we would for Bhagwan. So the essence of this katha is to remember Bhagwan, to remember his devotees. And not only do we know about the stories of these devotees, but Ji Maharaj then says, in the next life, what happened to these people? And so in the next life, the Brahmana from the first Brahmana, do you all remember? Yeah. Who was in Kashi, and he did the katha. This Brahmana is said to have become Sudama in his next life and served Sri Krishna. The woodcutter who heard the katha who heard how to do the puja from the Brahmana, he is said to have become Guha, the king of the Nishadas in the Ramayana, who served Lord Rama when he was sent into the forest. Then King Ulkamukha, you remember King Ulkamukha? He is said to have become King Dasharatha and had Bhagwan as his son. So King Ulkamukha was doing the katha to gain a child in this life, in that life itself. So Bhagwan fulfilled that wish, but he gave him something even more. Then the merchant Sadhu. This Sadhu became King Mordhvaj. So King Mordhvaj's katha is very famous in Gujarat and Marwar in Rajasthan, because it said that he was able to let go of his son and offer him a sacrifice. So that katha is a whole other katha. In short, Bhagwan tests the devotion of his devotee, King Mordhvaj, and says, offer me your son. But you have to offer him to me by cutting him in half. And you have to do it. But King Mordhvaj's devotion was so strong that he was able to do it, and Bhagwan doesn't actually have his son die. He blesses them. But interesting to note how this sadhu merchant, who wouldn't even divulge that he had gold, who was so stingy with his time and resources that he kept delaying doing the katha, in his next life he had so much vairagya, so much detachment, that he could offer his son just like that. And King Tungadhwaj, he is said to have become Swayambhu Manu, who then led the entirety of our creation. So he was the father of creation, so to speak, father of all the human beings in this cycle of creation. And according to the Katha, after that, they all went back to Vaikuntha, where Bhagavan remains with all of his devotees. And so we see that Bhagavan is so kind that he himself has told Naradji that this puja is the simplest and shortest and most convenient way for us to purify our mind and for us to achieve all that we need, all that we desire within this life, but also spiritual growth and moksha. And so with this, the fifth and final adhyaya of the Satyanarayan Vrata Katha concludes. So we'll sing the glory of the Lord again. Shriman Narayana 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 Shriman Narayana 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 Om Narayana 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 Om Narayana 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 Shriman Narayana 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 बोलिए श्री सत्यनारायण भगवान की जय. In the concluding portion of the puja, we offer everything that we have done to Bhagavan and we seek his blessings. So we'll take a spoon of water in the right hand. Kayena vacha manasendriyeva buddhyatmana va prakrite svabhava karomi adya sakalam parasmai narayanayeji samarpayami Shriman Narayanayeji samarpayami. Om Tat Sat Brahma Arpanamastu. We let the water flow from the fingertips into the plate. Om Tat Sat Brahma Arpanamastu. Atha Udvasanam. Put the left hand on the heart, and the right hand touching Bhagavan's feet again. We thank him for accepting our puja today, and when we call upon him next, may he come and accept our offerings again. Om Shri Lakshmi Narayana Bhyam Namaha Yathasthanam Pratisthapayami Shobhanarthi Kshemaya Punaragamanaya Cha. And we conclude the puja with the Shanti Mantra. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Guru Pyo Namaha. Hari Om. बोलिए श्री लक्ष्मी नारायण भगवान की जय. श्री सत्यनारायण स्वामी की जय. श्री सद्गुरुनाथ महाराज की जय.